The IRA admits shooting an RUC woman in the centre of Derry today. The cost of living almost static, according to the latest inflation figures. Dublin ambulance drivers settle their dispute, provincial drivers on course for strike. Ireland withdraws our ambassador to Iran in protest against the killing of Kurds. Good evening and welcome. The IRA has said it carried out the attack on an RUC woman in Derry this afternoon. The woman is in a serious condition in hospital after being shot outside the city's courthouse. Eyewitnesses said one shot was fired from a passing van, which was later abandoned in the bogside. The van is now being examined by British Army bomb disposal experts. The injured policewoman is 46 years old. She's married with 3 children.
The attack happened just before 4 o'clock this afternoon. The policewoman was on duty outside the courthouse on Bishop Street. About 60 yards away, a white van pulled up. Through the back window, a gunman fired a single high-velocity bullet, hitting the policewoman in the chest. She was rushed to Altnagelvin Hospital and immediately underwent emergency surgery. The van was found abandoned about 250 yards away. The gunman made off on foot in the direction of the bogside.
Heard the noise and just saddened by the whole thing, and just hopefully things won't be starting up again. Feels very sorry for the woman who's got shot.
The injured policewoman was 46 years of age, married with 3 children.
This can only be described as a despicable act of cowardice. It's carried out in the centre of a city, in the vicinity of shops on a busy afternoon, and we have a woman officer who's quite seriously injured, obviously is seriously injured.
Despite this attack, the DUP security spokesman Gregory Campbell still believes an IRA ceasefire is on the cards.
I think that this sort of activity is deliberately being planned to up the ante, so that whenever a ceasefire will be called, as it probably will at some stage, people will breathe a sigh of relief and be expected to be grateful for them stopping doing this that they never should have started. This is just an example of the IRA's contempt for real peace.
It's somewhat ironic. This attack happened at 4 o'clock this afternoon, a time where there had been speculation in some circles that the IRA was going to declare some type of cessation of violence. Even if it did now, it would be treated with considerable scepticism, as a woman police constable lies in hospital tonight, seriously injured.
And the Taoiseach, speaking in Donegal tonight, strongly condemned the shooting. He said his first thoughts were for the police officer's husband and children, and he added the campaign of violence by the IRA is dividing Ireland more deeply than anything else for years.
Just 24 hours ago, the Taoiseach said that a vote for Sinn Féin was a vote of support for the violence of the IRA. And tonight, as the IRA admitted the shooting of an RUC woman in Derry this afternoon, Mr Bruton roundly condemned the attack.
My first thoughts are for the husband and the 3 children of this woman who's been shot down in an awful way. One must remember that she belongs to one of the 2 communities in Northern Ireland, and every time an attack like this takes place, apart from a family being hurt, you have a deepening of the sectarian divisions that exist, and it is those sectarian divisions that are causing so much pain and making it so difficult to make political progress. Every act of violence like this makes political progress more difficult.
Where does it put your statements the other day in relation to Sinn Féin? What sort of a perspective does it put on those comments now?
Well, as of now, responsibility hasn't been claimed by any organisation, but if the IRA were involved, it is something that is very, very serious. We've got to realise that you cannot have a situation where a political party associates itself with a military campaign.
And John Hume, who's in Dublin tonight for a meeting, described the attack as an outrage.
I simply don't understand the mentality of people who carry out attacks of this nature, obviously designed to murder that woman. And at this point of time in our society, it's highly provocative, and whoever did it knew that they would be provocative by doing it.
And the Fianna Fáil leader also condemned the shooting and said the acts of the past few days, including the arson attacks on churches, were bringing us to the brink.
I think it is a time for leadership. In John Hume, in my own statement today, we said for politicians, for churches, for the communities, to try to save ourselves from going over the brink, because I'm afraid we're in a very dangerous situation.
Well, you say we're in a very dangerous situation. You say it's time for leadership. Last night, the Taoiseach, Mr. Bruton, said he believed that a vote for Sinn Féin was a vote of support for the IRA. Do you agree with him on that?
No, I'm not going to get involved in the elections in Northern Ireland. I've made plenty of statements over recent months, but there's an election on, and I think the election has to be fought out within the political movement. But I do utterly condemn acts of violence by the IRA or by loyalist groups.
And the Taoiseach, Mr. Spring, described the shooting as provocative and extremely reckless. Mary Harney of the Progressive Democrats said it was extremely depressing that evil men of violence had decided to bring murder and violence back to Northern Ireland.
Today's shooting is the latest in a number of attacks against members of the security forces in the north.
The attempt to kill the policewoman in Derry city centre this afternoon comes amid a recent increase in the frequency of such attacks on the security forces by Republicans. A fortnight ago, another RUC officer was seriously wounded when he was hit by a sniper's bullet outside the security base at Forkhill in South Armagh. The month before, British soldier Stephen Restorick was killed in another single-shot attack at Bessbrook, also in South Armagh. The resumption of IRA gun and bomb attacks in the north began last October with the double bombing of the Thiepval barracks near Lisburn, in which one soldier was killed. Since then, there have been many more failed attempts to kill members of the security forces. Off-duty British soldiers had a miraculous escape in this booby-trap bomb attack in Ballynahinch in County Down. There have been no security force fatalities in Derry since policeman Gregory Pollock was killed there a few months before the IRA ceasefire of August 1994. In very relative terms, the city's been generally quiet since then, enjoying a long-awaited economic rejuvenation.